I just saw a picture of him on the TV, and he just still looks absolutely fantastic. Just really, really good, and it's really nice to see Bill Roache actually still in Coronation Street after all of these years. He has had like a fantastic career. And apparently he's a really, really nice person. Never met him myself, but apparently he's a really, really nice person. So happy birthday to Bill Roache, 90 years old today. Al Ken Barlow. And also welcome back to By Any Means Necessary. Thank you so much for all your messages sent me, and a special thanks to everybody who signed up to my channel. I feel so blessed with so much people that have signed up, so thank you so much for that. I'll go through all the messages. I'll answer as many as I can, but I will like all the messages for definite. So Jacob Rees-Mogg has been going round the Westminster offices putting notes on people's desks telling them, I called but you was not here because you're at home working where you shouldn't be. You should be at work. This is how these people think, because you see, they don't like the working classes to get anything, nothing. That's how England treats its working classes. You look at the difference in how Scotland treats its people to how England treats its people. Okay, you just look at the difference, right? Scotland, right? There's no university fees. England, they cane the youngsters in England with university fees. Okay, Scotland, prescriptions are free. England, right? They are not. Scotland, hospital car parks are free. England have been sold off to private companies. It's not even like they give the money to the NHS, right? They just pay the NHS for whatever. For they might be renting. They might just rent they might just lease the car park off of them. But one thing's for certain: this government, right, and previous governments, right. And when I say previous governments, because most of this has happened in the last 12 years. I don't know if I can't remember if the parking charges came in at the end of the last Labour government. It could have well done, but remember the last Labour government was really there was really a Tory government, right? Just in Labour colours, because Tony Blair is a Tory. So for most of us, for all of our lives, we've been led by the Tories anyway, right? So there's a difference in how people in England are treated. That's why they've sold off all of our industries, because this country doesn't want to give anything to the people of England. Nothing. You look at all other countries and how they treat their actual people. Right? And it's just, the reason why people are so proud to be English, it's just through sheer patriotism. It's just because, this is where we're from. That's what it is. It's just, this is where we're from. What else have we got? We haven't got anything else, right? So they've only got patriotism. That's all they've got, because the country itself, right, does nothing for the people. Absolutely nothing. Nada. Not at all. Right? Just as I said, just look at how Scotland, right, treat their people, right, as opposed to how England treats its people. Right? And so Jacob Rees-Mogg believes that he can go around to people's offices and put notes on people's desks. But you see, here's the problem with this, right? It's their problem. It's their fault. And their problem, of course. Right? But it's their fault that people are working from home. It's their own fault. Right? They've showed people this new life that people can have working from home. Because for those of you who work in offices, you lead a boring and mundane life. Okay? You know that. Going into the office every day. Because, working from home, only works, right, if you're sat in an office all day. It works for nobody else. Okay? There's nobody else that working from home works for. So it only works for people who are sat in an office doing a mundane job all day. Right? And maybe taking an hour and a half, 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours to get there in the morning. And having the privilege, right, of a very expensive travel costs, or that they might drive a car, sit in traffic for 45 minutes every day, get into the car park, right, and then have to run into the office, right, with their trench mat pulled over their head because it's pissing down with rain. Right? So they have showed these people a new life. Because remember, yeah, they might have 2.5. They might have up to 2.5 hours to travel to work in the morning. That means they've got 2.5 hours to travel back home in the evening too, because you know what? They're going to be leaving work in the rush hour, right? And nobody likes using the tube. Right? You know something? The only people who are happy on the tube, right, are people who are using it between 10 and 2. You use the tube any other time than that, right? And it's a nightmare. Right? You're inside there, yeah, and women are pushing up themselves on you and all them things there and pinching your backside. Well, that's what's happening to me. And pinching your backside and all them things there. That's why I don't go on the tube. I drive everywhere. Right? But that's what's happening on the tube. Right? People don't want to be on the tube with people's sweaty armpits and all that in their face. They don't want that. Now you've showed them a new life. They can work from home. And the problem is, it's your own fault, right, for handling the pandemic so badly. You know how they said, "Oh, Boris Johnson, he handled the pandemic so well. He handled things well, even though he's in the top 6, right, of the bottom characters, right, throughout the world." Right? But Boris Johnson's handled it so well. Right? So now, as I said, they've showed these people a new life. Now these people, right, they don't want to travel on the tube to go to work and all them things there. They don't want that anymore. Right? And right, it's its own fault, right, for showing them this new life by handling the pandemic so badly. Because in the first place, when COVID hit, we're an island. And you know, an island, yeah, has the ability to cut itself off from the rest of the world. Right? And it has the ability to stop anybody from leaving the island to go anywhere in the rest of the world. You know, there could be countries that done that. Just let me think. Australia, New Zealand, okay, kept everyone out. Because you know why? Because they care about their population. And for them, right, human life is much more to be preserved, right, than cash. Because their government's just thinking of cash. Throughout the pandemic, right, when we was all locked down, they're still letting people into this country. At that point, right, there should have been no planes coming in, no boats coming in, no hovercrafts, no helicopters, right, in or out. Only essentials, just your food and that thing should have been moving. And then all they would have had to do was lock us down for 2 weeks, right, which would have never given people enough time, right, to settle down into working from home. That wouldn't have been enough time, right? So people would have been back in the office now. Right? Because you know what? They locked us down for 2 weeks, and any COVID that was in this country just stay in this country, right? And you know we get through it like that, but we don't let any more COVID into the country, right? And that's where they made their mistakes. So that's that's where they made their serious errors of judgment. And they left millions of people to fend for themselves, and people starving and spending off all their savings and all them things there. Right, when that shouldn't have been the case. The country itself, after 2 weeks, should have been back open, right? And they should have started, just get to isolate all the COVID cases that was in the country, right? But just don't let any more in. But they're still letting in thousands of people every day, because even though we was locked down, the economy was more important to them, because the economy, yeah, is more important, yeah, to the 160,000 lives that we've already lost. The economy is more important than that, as far as these guys are concerned. As far as they're concerned, right? So that's the devastating effect, yeah, of Boris Johnson. You know something? I wasn't going to speak that much about that story, but something just clicked in. Anyway, right? The French have decided we are not racist. The French are not racist. They have rejected Marine Le Pen, right, and given Macron a next term again. They said to Macron, you know what, you can just have a next term, because you know what, we don't need no far right running this shit. And the French and Macron, yeah, had the cheek, the audacity, the liberty, right, to turn around and use us as a negative, right? So, the only thing you could think of now is that the negative would have been something to say, well, you know what, if you're voting Le Pen, this country will end up like Great Britain. And that's the truth. If they'd voted in Le Pen, right, the French would have ended up like Great Britain. But still, Le Pen, she did get 40% of the vote. Right, just I think just over, just under 40% of the vote. So there's still a lot of people in France, right, that are looking to the far right to sort out the problems of the world, because you know what, there's there's far too many people in this world. I don't know. What's up here? I don't understand these racial issues. That's the truth. I don't understand these racial issues. I don't understand why is people just can't say, well, you know what, we're all in the world. Let's just get on with our own lives instead of wasting all that damn time with all this foolishness, racism. It's just, it just takes up so much of your time, man. And you're going to end up with your children hating you. Your children are going to hate you. They're going to come home with some black guy. You know that already. If you hate on black people, right? You're guaranteed that your daughter's going to be getting banged by some black guy, right? This is what's going to. I'm telling you, right? So that's what I'm saying. Just give it up, right? And the French have rejected it, right? And Britain embraced it. Sorry. England embraced it, right? And the French have said, no, we don't want that. No way. That's what the French have said, right? And can you blame them? Can you blame them after looking at Britain and Marine Le Pen, right, who she's talking about smashing up the EU from inside or whatever it is, yeah, because even Marine Le Pen, right, understands, yeah, that Brexit, right, would be really devastating for France. Even Marine Le Pen understands that. So that's why she stopped all that talk and she said, yeah, we'll stay in the EU, but I'm going to go in there and I'm going to start smashing things up like the female version of Nigel Farage. Right? Oh dear. So apparently the Sue Gray report is going to be devastating for Boris Johnson, as Prime Minister. And they say that, if the Sue Gray report had come out, he would have had to resign already, because she hasn't held back. And Sue Gray has basically seen what we've all seen, and she's put it down in the report. And that's the thing. But think to yourself, well, when Boris Johnson, yeah, was standing there at the lectern, right, and he was telling us, stay home. Sending letters to 7-year-old girls, replies to 7-year-old girls saying, well done for not having your party. And Boris Johnson was saying to us, don't meet up with your friends, don't meet up with your neighbours, right? Don't meet anybody outside of your own actual household and all them things there. And then he's going in the back and having parties and them things there. He's doing all that, yeah, in front of police officers. I mean, and the police officers thinking to themselves, well, what the backside is? What is this? What the hell is this? And the police officers think, surely the police officers must be thinking that, surely. But I suppose the hypocritical nature of it, I suppose that the police have just got to be like, you know what, we just got to go with it, because I suppose if you're a police officer and you said something about it, right, then you'd probably be removed from the from that job itself, and they'll just get somebody else in who would be prepared to stand there and watch while politicians break law. I wonder if politicians can snort cocaine in front of police officers. I mean, it's a genuine question, because especially when you're talking about that close to the actual cabinet itself, right? People who are protected by the police, people who have to have police protection, because I think most ministers have to have police protection all the time. So people who have to have police protection. I mean, would the police officers turn a blind eye to them snorting cocaine? And because we know that they turn a blind eye to them partying. And with partying, cocaine and partying often goes together. I don't know how I know this, but I'm sure I've seen films, but they often go together. So I was just wondering, would the police would they do that? Would they just say, well, you know what, we'll just turn a blind eye to that guy, we haven't seen anything? Like the Home Secretary, I'm just going to use just the Home Secretary for an example. The Home Secretary is snorting a line of cocaine, right, in front of her protection unit or whatever. then what did they do? Did they arrest the Home Secretary? Because obviously that would have to go to the police commissioner first of all. So would the commissioner just say, well, listen, you know what, remove those officers off and give us some new officers, or him some new officers, whoever the Home Secretary was at the time? Is that how it works? I don't know how it works. Do you know what I mean? But I do know, right, that a lot of those government ministers, yeah, have got pasts of taking drugs, because there was in a couple of years ago, like, there was in a great hurry to tell us so we do know that. So I'd just like to know if that's because obviously we know that police officers will stand there watching these guys partying, and we know that they know that they're breaking the law. We don't need Sue Gray to tell us that. So we just have to find out. We just have to see what happens there. Angela Rayner has been accused of crossing and uncrossing her legs in an attempt to put Boris Johnson off at question time, says an unnamed Tory MP. And say, you misogynistic bastard. Right? What the shit in hell is going on in this motherfucking shit, right? These people are supposed to be in the most professional building in this country, right? And you know something, yeah? I don't even think Boris Johnson can see Angela Rayner's legs from where he is. I'm not sure if he can, because there's a massive desk in front of them, right? So I'm not sure if he can. You know, I have to look at question time next time, but I'm not sure if he can actually see, right? But, you know, I don't... Listen, this could be a man or a woman who said this, right? But either way, right, it is a really just ridiculous thing to say, right? That you... Well, we know that Boris Johnson would be put off by a sexy lady crossing and uncrossing her legs. We do know that, right? But for one of them to come out and openly say it to someone in the press or whatever, right? It's got to be, you know, that's just got to be kind of ridiculous for one of them to come out and say, well, you know, this, you know, because that person must be sat there thinking, oh God, look at that. She's trying to put the Prime Minister off. Give me a fucking break. Seriously, these Tories, yeah, you know something, yeah. Actually, I've heard a couple of people on the radio over the weekend saying, yeah, you know, and first, women, not many, but a few. Because I think most people, yeah, I think most people on whatever side you're on, yeah, is going to look at this story and say, that's just ridiculous. You know what, you know, it might be going through Boris Johnson's mind, right? And Boris Johnson might be thinking it, right? But Boris Johnson's not saying it, right? Now, it's for us, right, to have that in our convoluted, dirty minds, right? For us to think that. It's not for a Tory MP to say that to someone in the media. Now Boris Johnson she should really have to get Sue Gray, right, to find out who the hell this is who has done this. Because that is just, you know, it's just a completely ridiculous story. Just like, another ridiculous story is poor old Rishi Sunak, or should I give him by his full title, Rishi the Stick Insect Sunak. Poor old Rishi is going to have a £13,000 a year bill, right, for his new swimming pool that he's built on his mansion. Poor Rishi, eh? See, and here's the thing. You know, I look at Rishi as a true Tory. Rishi's a true Tory because, you know, true Tories have swimming pools in their houses. Some of them have a swimming pool and a tennis court, right? But, you know, a true Tory will have a swimming pool in their house. See, because I just want to let you. Let's just start at the bottom. Food bank Tories, unemployed Tories. They could be the same as food bank Tories, right? Yeah, so let's go food bank Tories, you know, working class Tories, right? They don't live, right? Real Tories don't live in terrace houses. A real Tory doesn't live in a terrace house. A real Tory might live in they might live in a block of flats, but they live in a block of flats that you couldn't afford to live in. So you see, there's a balance, right? You see, like, so you got Rishi Sunak, a real Tory, and then you got your Tories that live in terrace houses, and there's a balance, right? But I can't get that balance right because it keeps bouncing up and down because I can't see the connection, right, with someone who's paying £13,000 a year, right, to heat their swimming pool, right, as opposed to someone who's living in a terrace house driving a Ford Focus. I can't see how the two can meet. Don't get it, but they get it. I don't know how, but they get it. Oh God, look at the time. I've got seriously, I'm seriously behind right now. Right. So let's just move on to some quick Brexit stories. Portugal Portugal are opening up a route so they can fast track Brits through a new e-gate or something like that, because obviously Portugal, like, is going to be devastating for their economy, losing the British pound, losing the pound going over there. It's going to be really hurtful for their economy. So they've opened up a route, and they feel that there might be a domino effect. So this is actually a good news story for Britain, because they feel that it might be a domino effect on a lot of the European countries, yeah, opening up a special route so that the Brits can basically walk through. I think you still have to show your passport or whatever. Obviously, when you was EU, you didn't have to show your passport, but I think you still have to show your passport. But I think it's going to be a slightly quicker route. So so the Portuguese has bowed to the Britannia rules the waves. So once again, in Portugal, Britannia is ruling the waves, right? And Jacob Rees-Mogg has said he's going to change the Irish protocol, and he's going to do it, right? And the EU is going to negotiate with him, and the EU have said the deal you signed is legal. That sounds to me like no backsies. That's what that sounds like. No taking the back. Right, I'm sorry, but you've signed, and that's the end of that. But obviously, the Brexiters must be thinking that Jacob Rees-Mogg has got some power to do something. But he hasn't. Because you see, the EU, yeah, the EU doesn't work in the way how these guys believe it works. And these guys had no right to go, because they are not bright enough to have tinkered around with with Britain's relationship with the EU. These guys are